Welcome to the channel, friends. So today's video is going to be a quick Corvette video. I just got a new item into the garage here for install on the LS9 build that I'm doing. I'm doing heads cam, ported blower, Kong snout, all sorts of good stuff. So I want to go over today, though, the oil pumps. So this is the factory oil pump off the LS9, and I want to compare it to the brand new Katech high pressure, high scavenge red pump that I got. So there's not a lot of videos on this. Actually, there's none. So I decided to go ahead and make one and show you the differences up close between the Katech and a factory LS9. So this is the stock one. I'll give you a once around. Still in good condition. The only reason why I took this off is because I have to obviously do the cam, and I had to take off the timing set, and I replaced it with a Comp Cam's hex adjust timing set. So that's something I had to do already, and I had to take the pump off. So when I took the pump off, I decided to go ahead and purchase a Katech high pressure, high scavenge. Now, there are differences between the two here that I first did not notice. So let's bring in the Katech here. This is how it comes right out of the box. They give you a nice sticker. So let's go ahead and pull this out and see what it looks like. They give you some notices. It says here, for best results, oil pan should have port matched to the gasket. Porting is not mandatory but increases oil scavenge ability. And then the second notice here, it says if you have a 2000 to 2008 LS7, requires a change to a 2009 plus crank sprocket, as you can see there. Otherwise, failure to the crank sprocket will result in oil pump binding and will not be covered under warranty. So you have to update the crank sprocket to be used with this red pump, essentially. So let's put these aside. I'll give you the part number. That is the part number. Let's take this bad Larry out of the bag. Now, it comes pre-lubricated. It has assembly lube already in there, and it's ready to go. They give you brand new bolts and retainers, and pretty much it's ready to bolt on. So what I want to do is show you guys the differences. The main difference is that the Katech one is ported. So it's CNC ported, and as you can notice, this port here and this port here are larger. And this one here is about the same size. So we'll do this so you guys can compare. So as you can see, I will go ahead and measure this with a set of calipers, but visually you can see that there is a difference in the porting from the stock one, which is just it's as cast, and then these two here have an actual machined surface on the inside, which shows that they've been opened up and ported. So this one right here still shows a cast surface on the inside, so that it was left as is. I believe these two here are the scavenge pump area, and this is the pressure section there. So also that is noticeable is that this is not on center to the outside of the casting, but that might not matter. So let me go ahead and give you guys a measurement. So we'll start off with the factory one. We'll start off with the oval elongated port. That is 1 inch and 93 thousandths by 514 thousandths. Moving on to this one here. We have a width of 728 thousandths and about 580 thousandths on there. So I'm just going to give you a measurement at the center. I'm not going to give you a min-max on this, but you guys get the idea. So this one here is a round port. We have 624. As you can see, the factory one is pretty centered to the outside of the casting for each port. Let's go ahead now and measure the Katech for dimensions. Starting off at the longer one, we have 1 inch 258 thousandths by 520 thousandths. Then we have 731 thousandths by 575 thousandths. And then this one right here is opened up to 745 thousandths. Hope you guys can see that on the screen. So that is the dimensional differences in the CNC porting versus the stock LS9. So one thing to notice also is that the scavenge pump is a lot larger. So the width of the gear on the Katech is much larger. So I'm talking about this right here, this first gear section. That's a lot thicker and it's much more noticeable. So the bottom one, which is the pressure section, does not look any bigger, but let me go ahead and try to measure that. I don't think I can stick the calipers in there. How am I going to do this? Alright, so let's give this a try. Got my set of Mitutoyo micrometers. I'm going to try to measure this pump section. So we have 748 thousandths and 9 tenths. On the factory one, factory LS9, it is 567 thousandths and 2 tenths. So that's on the first gear section, which is, I'm thinking, the scavenge section. Don't know that for sure, but it's the thicker one out of the two. We go ahead and flip them now and measure the other side. So we have 453 thousandths and 8 tenths. So 453, 8. Very hard to sneak this micrometer in, but it is possible. All right, so the factory LS9 is the same. It's 453 and 3 tenths. So that extra tenth could be oil. Yeah, it's coming down. So yeah, 453 and 3 tenths. So this backside section is the same. So according to Katech, you have an increase 20% in the pump in the actual pressure section and 30% in the scavenge section. So there are some differences on the LS9 housing. You have this bump out here, this boss, which is for the oil barbell that goes in here. It's like a plunger. Now, I forget what that does. It diverts oil pressure or flow. I forget exactly, but there are diagrams online. Other LS oil pumps do not have this. I don't even think the LS7 has this right here. So that relates over to a feature in the block, and that's the difference between the LS9 and the other LS pumps. You have a different housing and a different added feature to it. So this is the one for LS9. I'm not sure if they're compatible with any other LS, but what I'm showing you here today is for LS9 only. So that there is pretty much the differences between the two. We have the Katech sitting at about $860 shipped, and the original GM LS9 pump, not sure, I think it's like $400 or $500. But when you want to increase the capacity, the flow, and you're using aftermarket parts like lifters, aftermarket lifters, and larger clearances between bearings and things like that, you want the higher pressure, higher scavenge, because you want that extra flow and that extra capability to keep your engine lubricated, especially at that wide open throttle. That's where this excels right here. The LS9 pump is still a great pump. It's still a higher capacity pump compared to the LS3 or the LS7 in regards to the ability to supply oil squirters, which the LS9 has. Those other engines do not have oil squirters. So this is built still with a higher capacity in relation to an LS3 or an LS7 pump because of those oil squirters and the added demand of oil needed in the LS9. But there is a quick kind of overview of both pumps. I hope I covered a lot of your questions. I know I had a lot of questions before buying this pump here. Why is it different? Why does it cost so much more? The main reason is because it's ported and because the gear sections are custom and they're larger. So that's the main difference. It's up to you whether you think it's worth having on your car. But if you have a pretty serious build, stage 3 or stage 4, I definitely think you should look into this pump because you're going to demand a lot more oil flow, especially those guys who are pushing their red line higher and things like that. So that'll be ultimately your decision whether you want to spend the money on it, but I think it's a good peace of mind to have an oil pump that's highly capable of supplying all your aftermarket parts that you have in there. And why come in and do the job a second time? I already have the car apart right now. I'm doing the cam, I'm doing the lifters, I'm doing everything, honestly. So I went ahead and changed out the oil pump with the best available on the market, which is the Katech high pressure, high scavenge. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please place them right down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.